concert was canceled.
What'd I tell you?
The bill was
What did
insane.
I say?
The list of artists
Never received the time cut because what came out was that she had an illicit relationship with Special Agent Keith Cromer.
Special Agent.
I want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film.
Across the board. They get covered on the hip hop songs. It is what it is. And you watch because I have nothing else.
Enemy. I make them very clear that we're enemies.
Okay.
I use
That's fair.
I use my energy
To
to destroy things around them. I make.
One thing that hip-hop musicians can all agree on is that 50 Cent is not to be messed with. The fact that Rick Ross is out there attempting to stir things up again is really embarrassing. What is the reason behind this individual's involvement in a feud that is unrelated to him?
In business that we would be doing. It makes sense.
I don't know.
I don't have a problem with it. If I was chasing them.
50 Cent is the friendliest enemy you will ever meet. Big Meech learned the hard way. At this point, things start to get quite shady. For months, Big Meech was merely using Rick Ross as a pawn to make fun of 50. He was never really committed to him in that way. Since Ross is now doing everything possible to maintain his position of authority, loyalty is no longer significant to him. Ross pretended to be Meech's closest ally, playing the free Big Meech card. However, now that the snitch suspicions are available to the public, he is trying to use that connection to include 50's name. Returning to the 50 Cent spotlight, let's talk about the strange point where 50 isn't even paying attention to him. In his career, Rick Ross's use of Big Meech's name to gain power has been his biggest error. After years of conflict, it's obvious that Rick Ross is attempting to garner attention by enticing 50 Cent into another public battle with Big Meech. Rick Ross only gets headlines these days when he sulks 50 Cent's name in an attempt to acquire power. Let's face it.
Days away from the Big Meech concert. Get your tickets right now. Make sure everybody flying to the city.
After all, Rick Ross couldn't care less about Big Meech's legacy. Drama is his primary objective, and he has been influencing events behind the scenes. Ross swooped in and introduced himself as Meech's best friend as soon as he left, promising him big-budget projects and film deals. It was clear from the start that Meech was going to transform his life.
Do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget.
But don't deceive yourself. That was never going to occur in that manner. It worked for a time, but Ross wasn't trying to help Meech. Instead, he was using him as a pawn to get even with 50 Cent. With a photo of a rat and a caption that targeted Ross's entire BMF image, 50 quickly accused me of being a snitch on Instagram after he was seen with him. People thought that 50 was exaggerating and making a giant deal out of nothing when he identified me and the informant. But after seeing these pictures, while it is understandable that 50 felt totally duped, let's take a moment to rewrite the story. What would happen if Rick Ross actually showed some interest in Big Meech? Maybe he wanted to impress him when he returned. One may even claim that Ross courted me to win my approval because he was so obsessed with filming a BMF movie. Publicity of this nature is not something that just happens. Months of contract and booking preparation are involved.
Director. Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino. It's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big, I can feel it. I'm just talking.
But as we all know, 50 Cent owns all the rights to the BMF story, and without his permission, that plan was doomed from the start. Now that Chase is losing his influence, Rick couldn't film a single scene. Rick Ross where? Big Meech is out there trying desperately to understand why his legacy show didn't work out and why no one is rushing to help him pick himself up. He is the only one he can hold accountable. To be honest, Rick, this was never about brothers or loyalty. It was always about making fun of 50 Cent. Ross used Big Meech as a pawn and could not care less about assisting him. Ross was unaware that he might have done 50 the greatest favor of all though, because we all know how biased 50 is towards snakes. And there's a chance that Big Meech was always a snake ready to reveal his true nature, given everything 50 did to uphold his reputation.
It's a snake. You ain't got to get bit, the real.
Rick is supposedly trying to turn the tables on 50's people by distributing false information about what 50 allegedly did to Big Meech. But guess what? Meech is now out here in the cold, burned by the exact guy he thought would assist him in reclaiming his position of power. There is no one listening. Rick Ross truly thought he was outwitting 50 Cent during this entire period, acting as if he was the one working behind the scenes, which is absurd. What he fails to recognize is that 50 people anticipated this. Not because of any real animosity, but because Rick Ross has been jealous of 50's success since the beginning. 50 has always known that Ross has been somewhat preoccupied with him. Tension in the blogs these days. 50 makes a point of hardly responding.
Across the board. They get covered on the hip-hop blogs. It is what it is. And you watch, because I have nothing else.
50 Cent didn't hold back from boasting about the cancellation of the supposedly epic event, which we all witnessed. As he implied that the concert was not going to materialize, the streets were definitely buzzing, even though he said he wasn't participating behind the scenes. To tell the truth, Big Meech's involvement was the sole reason 50C reacted the way he did.
I'm gonna be disappointed when Lil Baby don't show up, when Skilla don't show up, when Vizzo don't show up, and all these don't show up.
Sincere communication. According to certain allegations, 50 may have canceled Big Meech's welcome back event by using dishonesty.
Just had your key. Do you know what your one key? Me and you got the same key. Any embarrassment.
Just before the event was set to begin tonight, Merit Bank Arena abruptly canceled it due to unforeseen circumstances. Officially, they said that refunds will be given at the time of purchase.